Hey, this is Tom from tombell.co, and in this video I wanted to share 5 simple tips to help improve your hill repeat interval workouts. Now, cycling hill repeats are one of the best ways that you can execute an interval type workout. Not only do steeper gradients help you to push harder on the pedals, but hill reps are also very specific to the demands of competition, where the climbs often play a pivotal role. They're an extremely efficient way to train too, and offer lots of benefits to both time-rich and more time-poor cyclists. So let's start out with the first tip, which is to use a target range rather than a specific number, whether that relates to power or heart rate. I've spoken in the past about using ranges when it comes to training objectives and metrics, but it does bear repeating in this video. Too many cyclists target a singular power or heart rate number for their intervals, and subsequently sometimes find it difficult to pace their efforts correctly. With such a specific target, it's easy to sometimes fall short or go too hard. Not to mention almost impossible to pace when heart rate and especially power are very stochastic in nature as it is. As an example, instead of setting 315 watts or 180 BPM as your target for a set of intervals, try something like 300 to 330 watts or 175 to 185 BPM as your target range. If you allow yourself that kind of margin, what you'll often find is you'll pace the intervals to what that singular number would have been anyway. Now, the next tip is negative splitting the entire workout. The idea of a negative split, which is a concept mainly borrowed from running, is to go faster in the second half of a training session or a race than in the first. By trying to negative split your hill repeats workout, you'll help ensure that you can complete the full set of repeats and score more minutes at high intensities and pace the sessions better, rather than going out too hard and falling short of completion. Negative splitting can apply on a per interval basis too, where it often works well to start off the first intervals conservatively, i.e. at the lower end of the target range that we discussed before, and then increase the effort progressively as you go through all of the intervals. Give it a try on one of your future training sessions and be sure to let me know how you get on. The third tip is choosing hills with a varying gradient. The effectiveness of your cycling hill repeats can be improved by sometimes choosing climbs that offer varying gradients within a single repeat. A suitable hill might start off quite steep, transition into a flatter section in the middle, and then pitch up again towards the end. What this will do is help train you to cope with changes to your pedaling style, like cadence, seated or standing positions, etc., and breaks in your rhythm. Again, it all comes down to specificity and how closely your workouts reflect what happens in competition. If you can teach yourself to effectively keep the power on when the road or trail changes beneath you, you'll be in a much better position to capitalize on this in a group ride or a race when other riders that aren't so conditioned begin to struggle. The penultimate tip to helping improve your hill rep workouts is to make each repetition different from the next. Hill repeats can be tough both physically and mentally, and to get the most from them, you'll often be required to dig deep and suffer through a lot of discomfort. You can help make them more bearable though by changing things up and keeping things fresh and interesting. One way to do this is to change up the design of each repetition in a set, i.e. riding the same hill but doing so in a bit of a different way each time. As an example, you might do the first interval at a constant intensity top to bottom, the second interval going hard for 30 seconds and easy for 30 seconds repetitively, and then the third starting and ending the interval very hard with a more steady state effort in between. There's always more than one way to train a certain ability, so don't feel you have to do the exact same interval over and over again. So the final tip that I'll share in this video is to manipulate the recovery time between each of your repetitions. The recovery time you allow yourself between cycling hill repeats can have a big impact on the effectiveness of the workout as a whole. Knowing how much recovery time to allow yourself between each of the reps largely comes down to what the goal of the session is. If you're training to improve your absolute VO2 max or your anaerobic capacity, for instance, you'll want to give yourself plenty of recovery time so that you can produce the necessary high power output on the next interval. On the other hand, if you have a broader training goal, like trying to improve your ability to put out high power under large amounts of fatigue, it makes sense to reduce the amount of recovery that you allow yourself. Change up the recovery intervals that you use in your hill repeat workouts to keep things challenging, but never leave yourself without enough recovery to achieve the overall goal of that workout. So I hope those few tips have given you a few ideas and a bit of inspiration to put into practice in your future training sessions. It's worth mentioning that these tips also apply to indoor training too, so feel free to use them on the turbo if you're training indoors. As always, please leave any questions and comments below this video, and check the description for further training resources like links to my website, my coaching services, and ready-to-go training plans. I'm always available via email to answer any questions that you have, so please do get in touch. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on another video soon.